So, back from another holiday trip, I am reminded again how very different it feels to not be near your house when nighttime falls. And that can be a little more scary when you don't know exactly what the roads are or where the places are that you need to watch out for. I have a memory from another vacation when I had gone into town from where the hotel was going to be, and town was quite a ways down this windy little road, and getting back to the hotel proved a bit problematic because it got dark while I was out. It was on a winding road in Glacier Park. And I knew that, there were drop offs to be aware of. And so I kept watching just wherever my light would end. And I thought if I went slower, then surely I wouldn't go past where my light was. I know my light was moving at the same speed I was, but it seemed like that the headlights were moving slowly. And the weather was fine. I hated feeling such fear as the darkness settled around me. I was probably safer there than I was on the roads in many places that I've been. I grew up in Dallas. Those were probably far less safe roads. But it was a bit of a challenge because you really had to be vigilant in keeping watch of where the road was bending. And I kept reminding myself that even though beyond my headlights everything was swallowed up in darkness, it was really just, nature around. And if I kept moving forward, eventually I would reach that wonderful lit sign with the arrow that would tell me to turn at the hotel. I think that the image of light that travels with you like headlights is kind of a new thought for me for one of the ways in which God is our light. God is our light in so many different ways, but you realize that God's light travels with you no matter what dark road you're on. And so if you trust in that light, it's going to let you see exactly what you need to see when you need to see it. You may not get a lot of advance warning, but you will find your way through life. In this Epiphany holiday of the church, we talk about God's light, and especially that light that shines in the face of Jesus Christ. And we look at texts that are about light, like the Old Testament text, which was our call to worship today. And I love the way it says, darkness blankets the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. It's that peculiar and specific realization that God is with us in a very personal, special way in our lives to help us when it is dark. And for all of us, there are many dark times in life. But God shines for you. God's light travels with you as your headlights. And in that obviously traditional New Testament text for this day, it reminds us of the light of the star, that guided magi from their studies to follow until they found who had been born that had caused such a sensation in the night skies. I like that first hymn that we sang talks about that there was something that was so astounding that it made these people leave their contemplations, leave their normal study that they had with one another to venture out, to take what they were finding out about the stars and move with it until they found that baby. I wonder how often I thought about turning back when I was on that road to Glacier. I know that at one fleeting moment I thought about that I could just like stay in the car until the light, I could just like sleep it out in the car, wait for morning, that might be a safer way to go, because I was pretty timid being out there on my own like that. But instead, I kept positive speaking to myself until I followed just the light of the headlight as far as I could see until I found the light of the hotel eventually. I surrendered to the experience of moving forward. Sometimes you have to surrender to that experience. You have to just kind of give up the illusion that you're in control. Surrender to the fact that you are not actually in control, but someone is who is far bigger, stronger, braver than you are. Sometimes we simply must surrender to going forward with a limited vision, seeing only a few feet ahead of us at a time. And I think entering 2022 perhaps may be far more real in that way than other years in the past. 2020 did something to a lot of us in the reality of not being in control. And so as we continue forward, there's certain things that we don't know and don't control, but yet we move forward, right? As people of faith, we keep moving forward. And it helps to build the strength of our faith when we do that, when we surrender to God, when we acknowledge our weakness. As Christians, we grow stronger, right? As people of faith, when we acknowledge how very dependent upon God we are, it makes us stronger and better. It's kind of reverse from how the world does things, right? Yeah. It's a whole different kind of logic. God teaches us a lot in the night seasons so that we can continue to grow as his children. And he teaches us how to keep moving forward, believing that God's light is shining for us. Now, I know that darkness is something that sometimes can indicate that you're on the wrong path. There's definitely wrong paths out there. Absolutely, there are wrong paths out there. But darkness itself is not necessarily because you're on the wrong path, because every night it just gets dark. That's simple reality. And it doesn't mean there's evil out there. It just means it's dark and you can't see. Darkness is a universal experience of life, and we've all known it. And that's why the Bible uses all these images of light to talk about God, because we can relate to the relief that we feel when the light comes on. We all resonate with a certain fear of the dark. and appreciate that there is light. Epiphany reminds us of that yearning inside each of us. Whether we're in the fields watching over our flock, our little families, in the nights of their life, or we are drawn like the wise men from places that are afar. No matter what is the reason that we're far away. Sometimes it's farther than others. Since the earliest times of the people of God, we have used that image of light to convey the truth of God, of God's love, God's power, God's brightness. We associate it with the warmth, the giving of vision, and the supplying of the needs for life. And so from the first chapter of Genesis, when God speaks light into existence, we continue in that awareness of the beauty of God in the brightness, the light of his being. That prophecy of Isaiah, to arise and shine, for your light will come, is an assurance that we all have depended upon. And though night in so many places still covers the earth, and darkness still covers so many people, so many nations, above you, God rises. Above you, the light of Yahweh arises. And his glory appears, light in the darkness. And that is saving power. It calls us forward from all of those far places like welcoming lights along a roadway. Surrender to faith gives victory. One more day. Again, victory. And sometimes you realize, like that road to Glacier that seems so scary in the dark, when the sun rises, it's so beautiful. I've never seen so many kinds of nature. All of the people getting so excited and pointing and saying, hey, look up there, you'll see bears, and that's a wolf that's running after the bear, and the elk, the moose. Oh my gosh. So much to see and appreciate. The flowers that bloomed in the snow. I was amazed at the beauty that was surrounding me on those roadways that had been so frightfully scary at night, and beheld such glory in the light of day. That's why in the darkness of Christmas night, angels came to sing a song of light. That's why in the darkness of wandering wise men, a star shone to guide them on a very long trek that would bring them to the light of lights. Christ's holy birth is like the full light of day shining after a time of darkness. And so the little twinkling lights of Christmas give way to the full light of realizing the love of God in Jesus Christ. Beholding the full light of day. It is a call to all of us to move on from our nighttime places to encounter the light of God, to look for the light of God, to rejoice in every new morning. And so as we begin a new year, we bring our minds and our worship to thank God for that experience of the brightness of His glory, and to rejoice that our horizons have such beautiful sunrises, and that He will continue to be the brightness of every new day for us. So in a new year, a new journey for you, may God be your light. Realize that you are like the wise men, and like the people of the Old Testament, and like everyone who has ever read this verse ever, anywhere. You are the one upon whom the light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Above you, God rises, and His glory appears. He will be your light in all the dark places. He will be the light that travels with you to guide your path. What a wonderful sweetness is the gift of a new year in the light and love of God. Amen. I invite you to stand and take your hymnals as we sing the first, third, and fifth verse of the first Noel. It's number 245.